My father's laugh still echoes in my head. It wasn't a nervous chuckle or an awkward cough. It was a full, rich laugh, the kind you might share after a great joke. Except this wasn't funny. I was lying in a hospital bed in the ICU, tubes running from my arms, monitors screaming my fragile condition, sepsis gnawing at me faster than the doctors expected, and my father leaned back in his chair, smirked, and said, "Maybe dying will make you interesting." 7 words that cut sharper than the IV needle in my arm. I replayed them in my head until the rage burned hotter than the fever in my body. That was the moment something in me broke, or maybe it finally snapped back into place. The truth is, my family had been draining me for years. On the outside, we looked perfect. There were Christmas cards with matching sweaters, smiling faces, and a golden retriever wagging its tail in the background. Neighbors thought we were close-knit, wholesome, the kind of family you might envy. But those glossy snapshots were just a mask. Underneath, I wasn't their daughter. I was their personal safety net. When I graduated college and landed my first tech job at 22, it felt like winning the lottery. My salary was more than I'd dreamed of, and my first instinct was to help my parents. They'd worked so hard their whole lives. I thought finally I could let them breathe a little. At first it felt good covering their lingering credit card debt, paying a few bills just this once. But just this once turned into every month. My dad's truck needed a new transmission, $5,000. Mom wanted the kitchen remodeled. I signed the check. My older brother Derek fell behind on rent again. I covered it even though I knew his weekends disappeared in Las Vegas casinos. By 27, I wasn't just helping. I was single-handedly funding their lives. I paid my parents' mortgage, Derek's car insurance, and even half their utilities. And every time I hesitated, they reminded me, "We raised you, Harper. Family helps each other. It's just money. You'll make more." Their words wrapped guilt around my throat, but deep down, I knew it wasn't love. It was control dressed up as obligation. The cracks widened the year before I landed in the ICU. I started saying no. No to Derek's latest business scheme. No to Mom's cosmetic surgery. No to being treated like a bank. My father turned cold. My mother called me selfish to relatives, and Derek only called when he needed something. Still, I thought if anything truly serious happened, they'd show up. I thought wrong. When pneumonia struck, it seemed like the flu. But within days, I couldn't breathe, and soon I was rushed to the ER, oxygen levels plummeting. In the haze of beeping machines, I told myself, "At least my family will be here soon." Instead, the first message I received wasn't, "We're on our way." It was a photo of my father on a Las Vegas golf course, drink in hand, smiling ear to ear. Caption, "Living my best life." The real dagger came hours later when my phone buzzed again. A text. No emoji, no joke, no hesitation. Just those 7 words, "Maybe dying will make you interesting." I stared at the screen as my heart monitor beeped in rhythm with the fury pounding through my chest. And in that moment, something crystallized inside me. I would survive this infection, but when I did, I would never let them use me again. The next morning, as my fever dipped slightly, I opened my banking app. Years of automatic transfers, credit cards in their hands, bills under my name, it was all laid bare. One by one, I started cutting the strings. Mortgage payment canceled. Car insurance terminated. Credit card reported stolen. Utilities scheduled for shutoff. Each click was like reclaiming a piece of my soul. Then I called my financial advisor, Elise. I told her to remove my parents and Derek as beneficiaries on every account. Next, I phoned my lawyer to revoke their power of attorney and rewrite my will. It was laughably easy to dismantle the empire of handouts I'd built for them. A few phone calls, a few keystrokes, and suddenly, the endless fountain of my earnings ran dry. I imagined Derek at a blackjack table watching his card get declined, or my mother flipping a light switch to find darkness. For once, they would feel what I had always felt, the bottom dropping out from under you. That night, as I lay in the hospital bed, I finally drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep I'd had in years. And for the first time, I knew the tide was turning. The first call came that evening, just as I was sipping lukewarm hospital tea. Dad's name lit up my phone. I let it ring, then ring again. On the third attempt, I answered. His voice was sharp, urgent. "Harper, something's wrong with the credit card." "It was declined at dinner." I kept my tone flat. "That's strange. Maybe call the bank." "We did," he snapped. "They said it was reported stolen." "Did you?" "Yes," I cut in calm as ice. "While I was lying in the ICU, you were golfing in Vegas. Someone else must have been using it." The silence on the line stretched so long, I could hear my heart monitor beeping. Then he said, "Harper, be reasonable. We're stuck here without money." "I thought you paid for the trip yourselves," I reminded him. "That's what you told me." And I hung up. 5 minutes later, Derek called. His voice was dripping with anger. "What the hell, Harper, you stranded us. The hotel says we need to pay for another night, and we can't. Mom's freaking out." "Maybe pawn something," I said coldly. "Or call one of your business partners." "You're unbelievable," he shouted. "Funny," I replied. "That's exactly what I think about you." And I ended the call. Within hours, the calls poured in. Mom crying, Derek swearing, Dad oscillating between sweet talking and threats. By the third round, I silenced my phone and drifted into sleep, their voices muted at last. When Mia, my best friend, visited me the next day, she showed me Derek's Instagram story. It was a shaky video of him and Dad arguing with a hotel clerk. The caption read, "Some people just don't understand loyalty." I almost laughed. Loyalty from them was like a thief accusing someone else of stealing. 3 days later, I was discharged, weak but alive. Back at my apartment, I launched phase 2. I canceled the electric account, the gas, the internet, even the phone plan I'd been paying for since Derek was in college. Within 48 hours, the voicemails turned darker. "You're ruining us," Mom sobbed. "The bank says foreclosure proceedings are starting. Do you know what that means?" "Yes," I whispered to my empty kitchen as I deleted the message. "It means you'll finally stand on your own 2 feet. At first, their messages dripped with desperation. "We made mistakes," Mom pleaded. "But you can't just leave us like this. We're family." For a fleeting second, I almost believed her. Then I remembered her sipping champagne in a Vegas spa while I struggled to breathe. By the end of the week, the tone had shifted. Derek snapped first. "You think you're better than us sitting in your fancy apartment while we're freezing? You're a joke, Harper. You'll regret this." Then Dad tried guilt. "We didn't mean those things. We were distracted. Don't punish us over one bad moment." One bad moment, as if decades of exploitation could be reduced to a slip of the tongue. They grew desperate enough to recruit outsiders. A woman named Kayla called, claiming to be Mom's friend. She spoke quickly rehearsed lines about how Mom was falling apart and needed my support. Halfway through, I asked Kayla, "Is my mom sitting right next to you?" A pause, then a weak yes. I hung up. When manipulation failed, they went public. Derek posted on Facebook, "Imagine leaving your parents homeless after they raised you." My sister's success has turned her into a monster. Some strangers sympathized, but those who actually knew me clapped back. A college friend commented, "Didn't your dad laugh at her in the ICU?" Another posted screenshots of their Vegas trip. Within hours, the thread exploded into chaos. Derek deleted it, but the damage was done. The harassment escalated, blocked numbers at all hours pounding at my apartment door, voicemails laced with threats. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. My office security buzzed me. Harper? There's a man and woman here asking for you. Say they're your parents." My stomach turned. "Don't let them up." "I already didn't," he said. but they're insisting. I walked to the lobby just in time to see them arguing with him by the glass doors. Mom spotted me and plastered on a mask of relief. "Harper, please, just 5 minutes." "Security," I said firmly. "These people are harassing me. Please escort them out." They shouted my name as the guards ushered them toward the street. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. By the second week, they stopped pretending. Old neighbors, distant cousins, even people I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me all parroting the same line: "Give them back their lifeline or else." The or else arrived late one Thursday. Mia texted me a screenshot. Derek had posted an old college photo of me with a drink in hand. His caption: "Some people act all high and mighty now, but they've always been reckless." Within minutes, strangers flooded my inbox with insults. But online warfare leaves a trail, and my friends quickly traced it. By morning, the post was deleted, replaced with a hollow apology. Too late. I had the evidence saved. It was then I knew this battle wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. And I had finally taken it back. The fallout hit harder than even I expected. A few days later, I found a manila envelope lying outside my apartment door. Inside was a foreclosure notice. My parents had officially lost the house. Hours later, the calls began again, but this time, the tone was frantic in a different way. "Harper, you have to help us," Dad pleaded in one voicemail. "The bank says we only have weeks before they take everything. If you just co-sign another." I stopped listening and deleted it. Their next attempt was pathetic. A mutual acquaintance sent me a link to a GoFundMe page titled "Help a Family Betrayed by Their Own." The description painted me as unstable, vindictive, and ungrateful. But they'd left the fundraiser public, and within a day, my professional network discovered it. Colleagues and old friends tore into the lies, leaving comments like, "Didn't these parents abandon her in the ICU? And this is pure manipulation." Within 48 hours, the page vanished. By then, my anger had shifted into exhaustion. I was tired of the games, the harassment, the constant attempts to twist reality. So I called Patrick, my lawyer. "I want to file for a restraining order," I told him, "against all 3 of them. Yes. Harassment, defamation, interference with employment. I'm done." "You've got a strong case," he said. "Are you ready for this to go public?" I didn't hesitate. Yes. 2 weeks later, we were in court. My family walked in dressed as if for a wedding, plastering smiles across their faces. Dad spoke first, painting a picture of a fragile daughter who had misunderstood their intentions. Mom dabbed at fake tears, claiming they were too poor to travel to my bedside. Derek insisted I had grown cold and was destroying the family over nothing. When it was my turn, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I handed the judge a folder thick with evidence. Screenshots of Dad's text. "Maybe dying will make you interesting." Instagram posts from Vegas. The GoFundMe page. Voicemails filled with threats. Security reports detailing their attempt to ambush me at the office lobby. I ended with one sentence. "Your Honor, these people didn't just abandon me when I almost died. They mocked me for it. And when I stopped funding their lives, they tried to destroy mine." The judge didn't hesitate. A temporary restraining order was granted immediately with a hearing for a permanent one set for the following month. As we left the courtroom, Mom reached for my arm. "Harper, we can work this out." I stepped back. "No. You made lawyers and judges necessary when you chose harassment over accountability." 3 weeks later, the permanent order was issued. No contact, no proximity within 500 feet, no posting about me online. Violation meant arrest. The silence that followed was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. For the first time in years, my phone stayed quiet. No late-night pounding on my door. No endless stream of manipulative texts. Just quiet. Life moved quickly after that. My old boss, Mark, called out of the blue. "Harper, I know you're still recovering, but there's an opportunity you need to hear about. That opportunity turned out to be the director of cybersecurity role at Argent Solutions, a fast-growing firm that had heard about a breach I'd prevented in my last job. The position came with double my old salary stock options and a team of engineers eager to build something meaningful under my leadership. I accepted without hesitation. On my first day, the CEO leaned across the lunch table and said, "The work you did saved our partners millions. We don't take that lightly." For the first time, I felt genuinely valued for my skills, not just exploited for my paycheck. Meanwhile, my family unraveled. Sebastian, my cousin, one of the few who hadn't turned against me, kept me updated. "Derek's out of work again. Your mom's been posting vague statuses about betrayal. Your dad's picking up shifts at a warehouse. They're renting a one-bedroom now, and it's not going well." I didn't feel joy exactly, just confirmation that I'd made the right call. Then Sebastian told me a story that actually made me laugh. Your mom got caught shoplifting makeup and a wedge of imported cheese. She told the store manager it was your fault. "Let me guess," I said dryly. "She claimed I abandoned her while she was struggling." "Exactly. But the manager's daughter had been in the ICU last year. He wasn't buying it." The charges were dropped, but the local paper ran the headline, "Local Woman Blames Daughter for Shoplifting Arrest." Gossip spread like wildfire. While they scrambled to shift blame, I built a life worth protecting. I ended my apartment lease and bought a house in the hills overlooking the city skyline. I adopted a golden retriever named Cooper, who greeted me at the door as if I were his entire world. I started hiking again, joined a cooking class, and even let myself date without the shadow of family chaos looming over me. That's how I met Daniel, a financial analyst with dry humor and a gift for remembering small details. Early on, I told him the truth that my parents and brother were out of my life for good. I braced for judgment. Instead, he said, "It sounds like you did the healthy thing. Most people never get out." For the first time in years, I felt light enough to let someone in. Nearly 2 years passed before I saw any of them again. By then, my life was unrecognizable compared to the chaos I'd left behind. I had a house with wide windows overlooking the city, a job where my expertise was respected, a loyal dog at my feet, and a relationship with someone who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide. For the first time, my days weren't consumed by the weight of other people's demands. I could breathe, and it felt like freedom. Then, one ordinary evening at the grocery store, I turned down the frozen foods aisle and froze. My father was standing there, thinner than I remembered, hunched slightly, holding a coupon booklet as he studied the sales on generic dinners. When he spotted me, his expression shifted surprise, then something softer, almost ashamed. "You look good," he said quietly. "Healthy." I answered, my voice steady. He hesitated, then tried again. "I know we messed up, Harper. I know we failed you when you needed us most. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I understand what we lost." It was the first time he had ever spoken words that resembled accountability. No excuses, no manipulation, no guilt. Just a flat admission of failure. For a moment, I let the weight of it settle between us. "Thank you for saying that," I told him. "But understanding what you lost doesn't undo the damage." His eyes lowered. "I know. I hope someday you might give us a chance to show we've learned." "Maybe someday," I said softly, though we both knew the odds were slim. Then I turned and walked away, leaving him with his coupons and his regrets. That night, sitting on the porch of my new home with Daniel beside me and Cooper curled at our feet, I thought about that encounter. It wasn't guilt I felt. It wasn't regret either. It was pity. Pity for a man who had traded love for control and ended up with neither. I thought back to the girl I'd been in that ICU bed, tubes in her arms, lungs, fighting for breath, still believing her family would show up. That girl had stared at a cruel text and made a choice. To survive. To cut the strings. To stop bleeding herself dry for people who saw her as a resource instead of a daughter. Revenge had never been my true aim, though it might have looked that way from the outside. The best revenge isn't watching the people who hurt you suffer. It's living so well that their absence becomes a blessing, not a wound. My family believed my absence would be temporary, that I would crawl back with my checkbook and my forgiveness. They underestimated me. In the end, they lost the best thing that had ever happened to them, and I gained something priceless, a life that was mine fully and unapologetically. I stopped funding their survival and started funding my own joy. Every hike, every cooking class, every quiet night with Daniel and Cooper was proof that freedom was worth the cost of letting go. Sometimes the hardest part of cutting ties isn't the loss itself, but learning to accept peace when it finally arrives. For years, I thought love meant sacrifice, even when it bled me dry. But real love, whether from a partner, a friend, or even a loyal dog, never asks you to destroy yourself to prove it. I don't know if my parents or Derek will ever truly change. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But that's not my burden anymore. My responsibility is to protect the life I've built, to honor the strength it took to walk away, and to never again confuse guilt with love. So when I look back at those 7 words, maybe dying will make you interesting, I don't hear cruelty anymore. I hear clarity, because without them, I might never have found the courage to break free. If you found value in this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true life reflections. And let me know in the comments what moment in your life gave you the clarity to finally choose yourself.